nearly a decade now, 38-year-old Roslyn Achieng has depended on a beach along Lake Naivasha to feed, clothe and put up a roof for her 4 children. Though times are different now, her livelihood is still pegged on access to this natural resource as she uses her boat as well as sell the fish delicacy on the very beach. She nostalgically remembers how their stores never ran dry. She lived a good life. Having been married in this village, Achieng recalls how she found the locals fishing.
In the year 2006, hii samaki tulikuwa tunauza shilingi 3 kwa moja. Tulikuwa tunauza shilingi 3 ikiwa mbichi, ikiiva tulikuwa tunauza shilingi 5. Lakini kwa saizi demand imekuwa juu ya wenye wanakula samaki. Mpaka saizi hii size, the same size tulikuwa tunauza at 3 shillings kama ni mbichi na 5 bob ikiwa imeiva. Saizi tunaiuza at ikiwa mbichi tunaiuza at 20, ikiiva tunaiuza at 40.
The story is the same for Angeline Akinyi Ochar, a farmer at Yala Swamp.
We were getting cassava, maize, sugarcane, banana, and so many other things were coming from that small swamp. So even though we were farming, but the swamp was so big, so we could not complete the whole area, or we could not dig a whole nini because it was being flooded. But even though it was being flooded, we did not determine that it will rain when, and it does not rain for how long.
However, when a private investor first set foot in the sprawling Yala Swamp about a decade ago, Akinyi, like hundreds of her fellow community members, beamed with hope at the thought of the goodies the new investment promised to bring that would improve their standards of living.
We knew with the Muzungu, and you know with Africans, if they see somebody white, they think of so many things big, better than what they have. Kumbe we didn't know, whatever we were thinking was opposite of what we know. So when he came, he told us he's a missionary who has come to build a church. He's coming to contracts to build secondary school, primary schools, water dams, and even the roads. So we were happy we have got an investor who is going to help us to meet all the problems we had in the community. So we were very happy. We didn't know we were digging our own holes.
Today, there are more jeers than cheers among those who danced and merry. Disillusionment and anger pervades the nearly 1,500 hectares of marshy land where the local communities got up in arms against the alleged activities of the investor.
So when he came, we decided to move away and give out whatever we were doing there and move to these dry land areas where we used to live.
Central to the conflict are claims by the residents that the investor who had initially begun his operation under 3,700 hectares of land has so far encroached in the community trust land without proper consultations with the local residents, who maintain that their land has been grabbed.
These plots that he found us when we had cleared, we were farming, we were doing so many things in them. He told us this one is a government land, we are not allowed to go in that land again. So we had no option, but we had to move.
In 2004, the Kenyan cabinet approved an MOU which gave the investor 3,000 hectares of the original 6,000 hectares that they had requested for. The Yala Swamp in Western Kenya is one of the largest swamps of the country. It is located on the northeastern shores of Lake Victoria and covers an area approximately 48,000 hectares. The area consists of a complex of swamps and shallow lakes. The swamp is dominated by papyrus reeds in the shallows and grass in the periphery.
The wetland has been a major source of livelihood to the local people in terms of food production, subsistence farming, in terms of fish farming, particularly around Lake Nyaboli, Lake Sare, Lake Bob as it were. It is also it also supports livestock farmers in terms of provision of pasture. Yala Swamp is unique because it also provides wood for wood fuel because of the fast growing woods that are within the swamp. It also provides grass for thatching and various other activities. It's also a very big source of herbs with medicinal values.
The Yala Swamp is also listed as an important bird area because of its richness in bird species which today are at the verge of extinction.
There is also the very endangered Sitatunga that is also found here in the swamp. So Yala Swamp generally has been a source of livelihood to the residents around the swamp.
The battle over the Yala wetland and Lake Naivasha ecosystems is what Governance, Environment and Development JET project sets to sort out.
We realize that development and sustainable natural resource management are kind of in competition. We have a lot of conflict arising from the imperatives of development.
A lot of these players who are interested in these natural resources or these ecosystems, they were pulling in different directions depending on what someone was interested in. So it was actually people trying to achieve something, people trying to benefit from natural resources, but they are all pulling from different directions, and that was the bone of the conflicts that we were finding.
And we felt that there must be a way of reconciling the competing demands for development and sustainable natural resource management. And in that process, the program Governance, Environment and Development was developed. In this program, we look at how to enable the communities to be able to take a driving seat in terms of natural resource governance. In that line, we try to develop tools that can be used by governments, can be used by communities, can be used by development partners in ensuring that the investments in natural resources actually address the concerns of the people and are equitable and are also environmentally friendly to the people.
It is a project that focused on achieving three main objectives. One of them was to build the capacities of the stakeholders and their institutions. The second one was to come up with frameworks that would ensure participation of these stakeholders in natural resource management. And the final one was looking at influencing policies and policy decisions, particularly in the natural resource governance sector. The project took different approaches in terms of towards achieving these objectives. Key approaches included building capacities of the different institutions and identification of champions who would champion environmental issues. It also took the approach of doing an exchange visit, which provided an opportunity for sharing experiences, a platform to learn from each other. This was done between Naivasha and Yala. The project also created a platform for public forums, for radio discussions and media engagements, purposely to create awareness and also to create a platform within which information would be shared.
A lot of people derive their livelihoods directly from natural resources. And in that process of interacting with the natural resources, there is need to secure access, user and management rights so that the communities are able to together interact with the legislative, policy and institutional framework to secure their livelihoods. We are also cognizant of the fact that in this interaction, there is an element of conflict that arises. So Reconcile looks at how we can use policies and laws and existing institutional frameworks to manage or to address the issue of natural resource-based conflicts.
In 2004, there was a major development in Yala Swamp and a major investment was introduced for commercial mechanized rice production. That was to cover at least 7,000 to 9,000 hectares. That has obviously brought a lot of complications and conflicts owing to the previous users, majorly the local communities who are dependent on the land for pasture, for agricultural production, for herbs, habitats for birds, and that has caused a number of conflicts.
The 2-year project implemented by Resource Conflict Institute, Reconcile, and Volunteers for Africa VFA objectives were to improve the ecosystems and sustainable sharing of natural resources by Kenyans.
There have been major interventions by NGOs and civil society organizations trying to bring the conflicts to an end, but unfortunately the conflicts still exist owing to various interests competing for the same resource, that is Yala Swamp and its resources. It came to the fore that one activity ultimately affects the other. So the platform was formed, although now it's still very much in its infancy, was formed as a possible way of resolving the perpetual conflicts as a result of scavenging over this one resource.
Through JED, Reconcile and VFA have empowered these stakeholders and actors through a participatory process, striking a balance in drawing benefits from these strategic resources. A public-private partnership framework has been developed to balance and reconcile the competing stakes in natural resource utilization, a model that can be replicated.
Nimejaribu kuchangia ili hii samaki yenye ninavua nisiikule mimi peke yangu, niikule nikisustain, isaidie mpaka wajukuu wangu. Si ati mimi ndio niikule iishe na wajukuu wangu watakuanga tu na hii strip. Alikuanga Lake Naivasha ilikuanga na samaki na nilikula ikaisha. Kwa hivyo tuko na management measures yenye tunatumia kama mimi mvuvi. Kuna controlled number ya boats, kuna controlled number ya nets, na kuna ile mesh size ya net yenye nashika samaki yenye imekoma kama hizi. Sishiki watoto yenye iko under size, nashika wale samaki wakubwa. Meaning ya wale watoto wa samaki ninawawacha wakue, ishikwe kesho yake. Kwa hivyo nimejua ninakula nikisustain, sitamalizia vizazi ujao.
There is full protection of papyrus. We don't cut them down now. There is full stoppage of cultivating around the riverian area. And by doing so, our water will be clean.
Even as all of us benefit from these resources, it's in our interest that we conserve for the sake of future generations.
We have seen a lot of impact because fishermen themselves, they have started managing the lake themselves because they have seen the way of the importance of managing the lake themselves, because they are the ones who are benefiting from the lake.
It is not just the fishermen that have benefited from JED. Communities that live along the Lake Naivasha catchment area have been sensitized on how to use the land sustainably. One such beneficiary is the Turasha Kinja Water Resource Users Association.
When the association was formed, we realized that there was a lot of degradation and a lot of destruction in the forest. And in our mandate as Water Resource Users Association, we are mandated by the Water Act to do the conservation and protect the riparian.
Tumekuwa na kazi ya kuwafundisha hawa kulima, kama upana ni fiti 15. Pande zote mbili waashe upana fiti 15. Tena tumekuwa tukiwaeleza wapande water friendly trees. Tumekataza kabisa kupanda exotic trees.
GED under the Reconcile Institute did come, and they really helped us, especially on legislation, policy and advocacy. We realized that our association had problems on governance, and through the advocacy from Reconcile and the GED program, we have been able to tackle our governance in our Upper Turasha Kinja Water Resource Users Association.
Kulikuwa na changamoto ya kuweka vitabu. Kwa vile hatukuwa na ujuzi ya kutosha, tulipata wafadhili ambao walitusaidia hapo initially wa Reconcile, na tukaanza kuweka vitabu. Tukaanza kuwa na receipt books, cash books,
na register members yote tukaweka, halafu ndio tukafungua bank account, ndio pesa zote ambao tunapata tunaweka kwa bank kwa ile matumizi bora, ndio pesa isiwe ikitumiwa bila mpangilio.
The project also saw the sensitization of some of the garbage collectors.
Ukiangalia where we started, tunasema out of the 100% ya waste ambazo tunatoka kwa manyumba, that size around 60% hazitoki hapa zikiingia, only around 30 to 40% ndio zinaenda kwenda dumping site. Hapo lengo letu hasa ni kutoka hapo penye tunasema mambo ya 30 na 40% to zero waste around. So bado licha kuwa tuna changamoto, tunasema tumetoka mahali na tunaenda mbali, na kwa ushirikiano mwema ambao tumekuwa tukipata hapa na pale, tunajua with time na zile goals tumeset, by the end of the year tutakuwa tumejaribu kupunguza.
The sensitization workshops and capacity building by JED also brought on board the youth as well as other advocacy institutions in Yala. JED worked closely with the local civil society consortium, Friends of River Yala Swamp.
We have attended so many trainings with Reconcile as the champions. We come back, share with the community members back in the villages, in their communities. Like we were trained on environment issues, how we can take good care of our environment. We went and shared with our community members. We were also taken for community exchange visits, where actually I learned a lot and my community also learned a lot through me. During that exchange visit, we realized that in Siaya County we were so behind when it comes to interactions with our government officials. And when we came back, we shared this with the community members, and at least this enlightened our people, and they came to realize the importance of not bypassing the government, especially the local government like the chief and the assistant chiefs. We have also attended meetings whereby we share the progress, we see way forward on dealing with the Yala Swamp issues, and we have also even formed a committee where we realized that in Yala Swamp the main problem is communication breakdown, where a message can be communicated to the community members through maybe champions like us, but it doesn't reach. Through Reconcile, we were capacity built, and we were given ways through which we can communicate the information given to us to the community members at the right time and at the right information.
We've had a number of interactions, and they've helped us in many ways, starting with capacity building. We've had a lot of trainings, we have a lot of exchange programs. We've also been exposed. They've given us a lot of information actually in advocacy, matters pertaining to governance, and actually around the wetland areas and use of sustainable use of the natural resources. Many of us have seen the importance of sustainably managing the natural resources, the importance and why they need to be protected, and why also we need to come together as different stakeholders and work as a team towards the achievement of the common goals. And today we are happy because we have moved some miles since. Now we can strongly advocate for the inclusion and participation actually in issues pertaining to Yala Swamp and also its environs.
Through this JED program, we were able to be trained on how we can work with the investors that were in the community, because one of the challenges was that the community expected a lot from the investors, and when these were not coming out, they felt the investor that was around should have left. But through the JED, we were able to understand that we can live together with the investor, and we can work together, and so that all our issues can be sorted out. They made us understand that there was no that big need to send the investor away, and also they also enlightened us to understand the need for community to be organized. They made us understand the importance of living in a reconciliated society. They managed to organize us into a platform that can now bargain on behalf of the community. And I want to tell you that we were able to form the platform, one for Bondo, which is working around here, and the other one also is on the Sia side. So these platforms are going to help the community. In times when the investors come around, we will be able to bargain on behalf of the community and to make sure that the community's views are taken into consideration.
The developer came and he was not actually involving the community. And I think this was the major cause of conflict. Nowadays, that has conflict where people drive animals into his property has gone down. The fighting, stone throwings and machete brandishing is also gone down.
Though JED has executed some changes, a lot still needs to be done.
We need more funding. We need a new approach to the campaign around the swamp issue. That is my stand.